We are going live. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Yvonne Mason, and Mary and I have been playing with this for a minute to try to get us up and running. Yesterday it went off without a hitch. Today, not so much. But anyway, as with technology, it works when it works, but Mary and I do not allow inanimate objects to deter us. As you can see, we're both here. Let me introduce you to Mary Brotherton. She has been my friend for 15
Umpteen.
years. Up teen years. Up teen years. We met many, many years ago at a book signing up in Melbourne. Melbourne?
Coco.
Coco. Up in
Coco,
Coco.
I think it was Coco Library.
It
Or
was. It was. It was. She was a freelance photographer and writer for the local newspaper. She was going around gathering books and talking to people, and she stopped to talk to me, and it was like an instant friendship.
yep.
We have been through a lot together. We have shared many, many experiences, many, many ups and downs. And she called me one day and she said, Yvonne, I want to throw something by you. I'm going, okay. She said, I have an idea. And I said, okay. She said, I want to start a magazine. I said, okay, go for it. She goes, what? I said, you only fail if you don't do it. You know, if you try and it doesn't work, you didn't fail, you succeeded because you made the effort.
Yep.
That my brother taught me that. If you don't make the effort, then at the end of the day, you say, I shoulda, woulda, coulda. So she did. It was very, very successful, called Be Unique. She had writers from all over the world. Well, she did that, what, Mary, 7 years, 8 years?
7 years.
9 years.
7.
And 7, okay, what's 8, 7.5, we'll split the difference. So she finally said, you know, it's time, this baby is grown. It's time to give it to someone else to let it mature.
Uh-huh.
And I said, has it stopped being a passion? She said, yeah. I said, yeah, time to let it go bye-bye. So she did. She gave it up. She is now an author. She's also a photographer. See, we have so much in common, it's not even funny. She writes about angels and things in her life. And without further ado, just welcome, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let's talk about things you and I talk about on a daily basis. You and I both have the same core beliefs that we are only limited by our own imagination. Is that a true statement?
Oh, that's absolutely true. Because I
We
mean,
talk,
this little podcast, whatever we want to call it, is proof of that. We couldn't get it going yesterday, so it prompted me to do my own little live on Facebook, and it turned out cute, and I've gotten a lot of response. So then you and I tried a test of a different way to do this using Riverside FM, which is a program I just love. And it went without a hitch, just click, 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 boom, boom, boom. We were talking, and we said, well, we'll do it tomorrow.
yeah.
And today we just couldn't get I don't know if we couldn't get out of our own way or what. We just had to keep trying. I don't know how many different times I tried. And finally you said, here's another link. Let's do this. And that one worked perfectly.
Because we don't give up.
No, never give up.
We're both tenacious. And I know that's a long word for some of y'all, but what tenacious basically means, it's another word. We're stubborn. We're not stupid,
We stick
but
to
we're
it.
stubborn. Exactly. And
Now, let me ask you a quick question. If I'm not mistaken, are Taurus?
yes,
And see, me being Aquarius, we balance each other. You're
we do.
very grounded, and I am just the opposite.
It just rolls with the waves. But the beauty of all of this is our friendship has weathered many things in both of our lives: sickness, death, uh, things that didn't work out quite well. So if they don't work out quite well, we don't spend time worrying about, well, maybe I should have done this, maybe I should. No, we
No,
just move on to something else.
find something else to do. And, you know, after 7 years of managing Be Unique, I knew that it was time. I'd already published 5 books at that point. In 2 years, I published 5 books. And I decided that I needed to just focus on me, focus on my person and my writing career. But I just had a thought, and can't forget it because I'm at a certain age where thoughts flip in and flip out so quickly. Right before we started this show, I was on the phone with my dear friend Dale Veely. He's been trying to follow you. I think he said he was following you, but he didn't know what Midnight Publishing is all about. So I'd like you to tell everybody what's up with Midnight Publishing.
Okay, well, as Mary knows, and as many of the people that have been with me on this journey for the last 19 years know, I've been published since 2006. I've been writing since I could hold something to write with. I was with a publisher who was also a very, very good friend of mine. Met her at a convention over in Tampa. And after Jack died, I quit writing. It was just, I could not focus. So she said, Yvonne, if I send you titles of anthologies, would you be willing to send me a story? I said, sure. So she did that. And I wrote for her anthologies for 2 or 3 years. Different short stories, and I kept them compiled and kept them. And I sent a friend of mine to her where I go to worship, who has been writing for years and years and years and years, and she got afraid to publish. So I said, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to send this to my friend. We're going to let her publish it. And we did. And ever since then, my friend has written. So we kept sending them to this publisher and kept sending them to this publisher. And then another friend of mine had a children's story that he had written when his children were small and wanted it published. He never thought he would see it in print. So I sent it to her. Well, before he could get published, my friend died.
The publisher.
The publisher. I get a private message from another friend of ours who did her covers that she had died the night before. And I went, oh crap, what now? So I went and told my 2 friends at church. I said, well, Houston, we got a situation here. Our publisher has died. And they both said, we'll never get published again. I said, not so much. So I came home, and Mary, you know I live by my faith.
Yeah.
Everything is in control of God. And I said, okay, God, do I need to take that step? Because I had played around with it in the past, and I had avoided it like the plague. And I said, is this a sign that I might need to take that step now? Am I there now? And I thought about it, and I prayed about it, and I went to church one Sunday morning, and my friend Peggy came up to me. She says, well, Isaac doesn't seem to think that his book will ever get published. I said, want to bet? We're starting a house at my house. And she went, what? I said, I'm starting my own house. I have enough books out there that all I have to do is pull them down from where I have them before, republish them. I'll pull yours down from the publishing company that we were using because my publisher's kids were being jerks. Really, at first they were going to keep the publishing house and take care of all of us.
They found out how much work it was.
Exactly. So I said, so you and Isaac will continue to be published. Well, then I put a call out to my circle, these people that have been with me for years and years and years and years. And the first one to answer the call is Andrea Dean Van Scoyoc. And she said, Yvonne, will you take my books? She said, and she hadn't written in 12 years. She quit writing.
Oh, wow.
They weren't getting the traction, and she just got discouraged. And her husband's not well either. So I said, send them to me. So she sent me her books. Jason Wolfgang Gerhardt sent me The Ferryman. That is a phenomenal book. redid the cover, sent it back to him. We published his book. Then I got all of Peggy's books. I got a new author at church. Her name's Alta Desanoid. Got her book. Got Sherry Richardson. For 25 years, this girl's been trying to put this book out there, and nobody would take it.
Oh,
It's called The Chocolate Lover's Garden, and she is a homesteader.
I've been seeing the ads for that. That's really cool.
It's a phenomenal book because it doesn't just talk about the flowers and the fragrance of the flowers that have a chocolate smell to them. She gives the history of chocolate, that the Aztecs and the Mayas, only the emperor, king, or whatever he was could have this chocolate drink.
I remember hearing that in history.
Yes, and how it got to Europe, and how in the beginning only royalty got the chocolate drink.
Yep.
And how the cocoa bean was used as coinage in these areas where the cocoa bean is gathered, and how the cocoa bean is harvested. They use children to harvest the cocoa bean.
I remember that too.
So she gives the entire history of the cocoa bean. She gives recipes. You wouldn't believe what this woman cooks with chocolate. And I'm not talking about chocolate you buy in the store, ladies. I'm talking about pure cocoa bean chocolate.
Oh, and if you've never had that in your life, you owe it to yourself to find a retailer and buy it.
Exactly.
It is phenomenal. And you don't need the sugar.
Mm-mm.
It's so tasty, and it's good for cognitive reasoning and all sorts of stuff. It's actually a very healthy food if it's done properly.
And it doesn't need all the additives that is thrown into store-bought chocolate.
No.
If you read the ingredients of store-bought chocolate, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you, it's not chocolate. It's preservatives, additives, and refined sugar.
Yep.
There is sugar, and then there is raw sugar. Raw sugar is straight off the stalk. I used to eat the sugar canes. We'd have carnivals at school, and we'd buy the raw sugar canes. Best tasting stuff I ever had in my life. White sugar is refined sugar. It has all the other garbage in it, and all the nutrients are taken out. But pure sugar it has a sweeter taste to it.
Yep.
If you've never had raw sugar, I suggest you go get some. But anyway, Sherry had this dream for 25 years that she wanted this book out there. So she very quietly and humbly asked me, would you be willing to take this book? I said, sure. So many people, and Mary will attest to this, so many people in our sphere have been good to us.
Oh, unbelievable.
And have taken care of us and have paid things forward and have helped us out, that it's only right that I do that for these authors. Another author just got her out of California, Kim Carmichael. She wrote Trophy Doctor. She got discouraged with it. She pulled it down. I said, and she was asking for help. I said, send me the book, Kim. We'll get it out there. I redid the cover. Got it back out there. It's going live here in the next few days. And I go above and beyond, ladies and gentlemen. Mary will tell you, most publishing houses will only put the book up in one or two places.
Yep.
Kindle and paperback. My authors go up Kindle, paperback, Audible, and hard copy. And you say, well, what is the cost? $0. I don't charge my authors. They get all of their royalties. And you know why I don't charge my authors? Because God blessed me with the ability of making this happen for others. Am I right?
Yes. And I think it was Dale a couple of weeks ago told me I needed to talk to you about getting my Audible done.
Send it to me. We'll make it happen. We'll throw. What I have to do is put it up on Kindle, and then the AI Audible pulls it and reads it from the Kindle. It's so seamless.
I like it. I like it.
And we can make it happen. We can also put it up on hard copy for you if you want hard copies. It's not a problem.
Yeah, I've got it right now on Amazon. I've got just the soft copy, and I started working on the hard copy, and I kind of fizzled out on that. 'Cause at the time, I was still gung ho with Be Unique, and my you cannot serve two masters.
No, you cannot. You got to be dedicated to one or the other. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you, Be Unique with Mary was a 24/7 job almost.
Unfortunately, it was.
Because she was the editor, she was the layout person, she was the marketing promoter, she was the ads promoter, she was the head of the board. What did I leave out?
The pot washer. I coordinated all the events. I was the end all to be all. And then I got a board, and they were helpful, very helpful, and they were very skilled at a lot of things. And so I felt comfortable that I could walk away. And
it was
so
time.
It was time. It was definitely time. And so we had a succession plan in place, and they have run with it. So we shall see. I was talking with one of the board members yesterday or the day before. Day before. Anyway, it doesn't matter. She was asking me how I would feel if they didn't do the magazine, but only concentrated on online classes. I said, you know what? You do you. As long as it is fulfilling the educational portion of the 501c3, I don't care what they do with it.
And
so
maybe
it'll
evolve into something else.
It will definitely evolve, and that is exactly what has to happen.
And ladies and gentlemen, Mary and I have been at this business long enough to know that if you do not allow growth in your life, as she has allowed Be Unique to grow and move away, it will get stagnant and it will die because you can't stand still and grow.
No. It's only as good as the leader, too.
That is very true.
If the leader is burned out, then the organization is going to feel like it's on fire.
Very true. And it will implode from within. We as artists understand that if we don't continue to grow, we don't continue to stretch our mind and the knowledge and the wisdom that we have, especially the knowledge, because when we impart that knowledge to someone else, then it becomes wisdom. And the legacy that she and I both want to leave is that we made a difference in one person's life.
Yeah. And we know we have.
We do.
Because we've made a difference in each other's lives.
We have.
And so
in many ways.
You take that and expand it around our circles. We're constantly making difference wherever we go because it's just the kind of people we are. And I think everybody makes a difference in somebody's life. But you and I each wanted something a little more, dare I say, magnanimous.
Okay, I like that word. I do like that word.
We weren't content to just make a difference in our own little circle.
No.
We had to make a difference globally.
And sometimes it's done very quietly.
And, I had people when I first started making, after I talked to the board, one of the first things I had to do was create this succession plan. And one of the first steps was tell your immediate circle and tell more, and let people know what you're doing so they're not blindsided. And still people are coming to me and they're asking me to do this and that for Be Unique. And I just pass their information along to the new president. But the point is, a lot of these people would say, are you sure? Are you going to be okay with this? This is your baby. You work so hard at this. It's going to break your heart. One even told me, I want you to grieve this like a death. And I'm like, no.
No.
When my kids were old enough and they got up and moved out of the house and moved out on their own, I didn't grieve that. I rejoiced because they weren't confined to the little life that I could give them. They went out and made their own life. I said, that's what Be Unique is doing. It's going to take on a different direction, and it's going to affect other people
in ways that it would not have reached out to them, maybe in the direction it had been going.
Yeah.
The message is still the same. This is what people don't understand. When there's growth, the message is still the same. The delivery has been changed to reach a broader audience.
Yeah.
And like Mary said, when my children got grown, I wanted them to leave the nest. Because someday, Mama's not going to be there. And if they don't learn life's lessons and how to deal with life while I'm here, they're not going to deal with it at all when I'm gone.
Nope.
And it's the same with giving up something. When you are at a meal, when you're at a buffet, and you see all this food, and you say, I'll have some of that, some of that, some of that, and you get down to the end of the line and your plate is full, in order to have something that you really, really want, something else has to go away. Because then the plate will be overfull and spilling all over the floor and nobody benefits.
Yeah.
Mary is going in the direction of self-care, which she has needed very, very much, because there's been some things in her life that took away the peace that Marian has. And so she's been able to find that peace again. And then writing. Now, I want you to tell the folks about your books and how they came about.
It's really amazing the way the journey has played itself out. I had, up until 2 years ago, I had a list of books that I'd started. I had probably, I'll say 36 files with my books in them, and I had a couple of novels that I did the first draft on and abandoned for a while, but I'm letting them simmer. But then I started, 8 years ago, I started a book that is now Steep Steps. And it's based on a Facebook stalker that I had. I didn't know what to do. I mean, I wasn't planning to write this book at all. But this guy that I knew from my past had reached out to me and was very ungentlemanly. He told me some things that he wanted to do for me, to me, with me, and at me, and on me that weren't in my bag of tricks. And so after the first message, I thought, oh, it's just him. Hi, how you doing? And the second message was not nice. The third message was not nicer. And so I blocked him. I didn't say goodbye or anything. I just hit the block button. And I went and I told my husband about it. And Curtis said, can I see the messages? I said, oh, I blocked him. You can't read them. He said, you can unblock him and read them. Well, in the time that I had unblocked him, he continued on with his invitations. And so I was reading them to Curtis. I said, oh, this is a new one. Oh, this is a really new one. I wouldn't know how to do this. So Curtis looked at them. He says, oh, you need to write a book about this. I'm like, nope, no. No. No, I'm not. No.
Or as we say in Georgia, hell no.
Hell no. So I went to bed that night, put the guy out of my mind, put the messages, put the idea of the book totally out of my mind. The very next morning, I woke up and I felt like I had been shot out of a cannon. And I had the entire book in my head. I knew exactly where it needed to start. I knew exactly how it was going to finish. And I just started writing it. Well, by the time I finished writing that, I had started Be Unique with Jennifer. So I spent a lot of time writing a business plan. And then I spent the next 7 years working on this frickin' organization. And I was enjoying it. And I thought I had found my purpose, but I hadn't. Be Unique was a means to an end. There were many good things came out of Be Unique. Many, many good things. Mostly the people, but also I learned skills that I wouldn't have learned otherwise. So I had an inspiration. Actually, I had 2 psychics reach out to me and tell me, the angels are saying you need to finish your book. And I said, well, I've got 3 dozen. Which one do they want me to finish? You know how we get. We procrastinate, find excuses not to write. I'm a writer, but I'm not really. So they always, both of them said, you know which one. And one of the psychics nagged me for like years, 2 years at least. And she suggested that I needed to finish it so that the spirits would leave her alone because they were nagging her about me. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. It's not my problem. It's just you and your spirits, I'll get to it when I get to it kind of thing.
Your spirits are not my problem.
Just because the dead people are talking to you doesn't bother me. But then the dead people started talking to me and saying the same thing. And I'm like, I'll get to it. I will. I promise. Pinky promise. But then another mutual friend of mine, I don't know if you know Martha Watts, Martha Joseph. She came on the board much later than you, but she was a board member as well. One day we were talking about books, and I basically told her the same thing I just told you, how I had 36 books in my hopper, and I'll get to them when I can. And she challenged me. Ooh. Well, you don't challenge me, get away with it. Because she kept saying I was scared. You're afraid to write your book.
What?
Yeah.
Does she not know you?
No.
She doesn't understand the history of Being Unique?
She thought that by saying you're scared, it would prompt me. And when she realized I wasn't afraid, the only thing I'm afraid of, and I'm not really afraid, I just dislike them, are tree frogs, the Cuban tree frogs.
Oh yeah.
But I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
Exactly.
So she challenged me.
That scares the daylights out of us.
But she turned it into a challenge. She said, I challenge you to go to Ingram Sparks and set up an account, get your ISBN, get your barcode. And you can't get your barcode without the book and blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of things you got to do before you can get those things. But She challenged me to take the steps. I started looking into Ingram Sparks a little bit more, and I wasn't too happy with what I was finding. So I'm like, well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it my way, and I'm going to do it the hard way. Because obviously the hard way is so much easier.
Oh, sure. Tongue in cheek, ladies and gentlemen. Tongue in cheek there.
Yeah, that for Mary, the hard way. My husband tells me that I like to do things the hard way, like standing up in a rowboat and dancing. Maybe. I do appreciate challenges. So when she reached out to me 2 weeks later to see how I was doing on her challenge, I already had my rough draft in Jennifer's hands, and she was formatting it. I had taken the picture for the cover, and we were basically ready to rock and roll. So I used my contacts through Be Unique and found a printer, had it printed in Orlando, came back and was holding the book in my hand and signing copies and putting them in the mail. 2 weeks later, I heard a little voice say, I want you to write a book about angels for children. Oh, that first book, by the way, was short stories about angelic encounters. It was just a little, 88 pages is all it was. But the print's too small, and I will be fixing that the next time I update it. Anyway, after 2 weeks with that book in my hand, I heard the message, I want you to write a book about angels for children. And I'm like, ain't nobody in this room. I know somebody said that, and it wasn't me, because that's not the book that was on my list. Go with Angels was always on my list, but my little angel book for children, nope, had no idea. So I said, oh, it's not that hard to write a book for children. I've written several. It's not easy, as people might think, just because there are fewer words.
You got to think on a child's level, and I never thought on a child's level.
I think it was Beverly Cleary, but maybe it was someone else who said, if the subject matter is too deep for adults, write your book for children. So I wrote this book. Well, I didn't just write it. I started to write it, and I couldn't come up with the words. So I just got into my little meditation zone, and I said, all right, look, dude, that's what I call God. Sometimes I call him Gus, God, universe, spirit, source. But most of the time, it's dude. But I just say, hey, you told me to write this book, and I can't. The words aren't coming. So I don't know what I'm supposed to do next. Yvonne, I could hear it as if a person was standing right there. Paint the pictures, and the words will come. And again, I'm like, what? I'm not a painter.
I know that feeling.
I'm not a painter. I love to paint. I love to make abstracts, because if it's abstract, nobody can tell me it's wrong.
Well, art is perception anyway.
Yes.
So no piece of artwork is wrong.
No, it's not. However, that little voice said, yeah, that's what Michelangelo told me when I told him to paint too.
Okay.
Michelangelo, are you serious? Get out of here. So I started dabbling in my paints, and some people have called it innocent art. It's not art that I learned in any class. It's not, there's no technique to it. It's colors on canvas, and that's fine. I don't care. I made dragonflies and butterflies, and I made stick angels and weird things. But I did it, and I did it for 6 weeks. And then my son called me to talk one day, and I was telling him what I just told you. He said, Mom, use AI. I'm like, no. How? Me? There's that little seed of all the past that I've gotten past it.
Creeping right back in.
Every now and then it rears its ugly little head of, you're not good enough. But I know now that I'm not only good enough, I'm better. I'm better than I think I am.
And you are enough.
I'm enough and extra. I'm like that Chinese buffet. I just want one more egg roll. Okay, there's no room on the plate. I'll put it in my mouth and take it to the table that way.
There you go.
So I created my first book using AI, and it's cute. I think it's great, and I love it. I had it printed. So I've got all these boxes of books. Then when a friend found out that I was doing this, she asked me, could I help her with her book? Yeah, why not? So I helped her print her book. She suggested I help another friend. I helped her print her book. Then another person said, would you do my book? And I did. So by the time I had done 3 other people's books, I'm like, whew, I'm done for a while. Literally, as I said it, that voice said, your next book's going to be called A Journey with Angels. Okay. So I created this book, which is like it was downloaded to me. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know half of these names, but I found there were 23 angels that I focused on. And I talk about different ways you can reach out to these angels. And I know my own mother-in-law says, I don't talk to the angels, I talk to the Holy Spirit. And everybody's got their own way. But a lot of people like the angel books. But this one has information about specific angels and what they do and what they can do. They can all do the same things, but some of them specialize in certain areas. And then there's a place in the back and on several pages for journaling. So it's like a guide, a how-to, and a journal.
Nice.
And then I started on another author who wanted me to help her with her book. And my husband said, enough. You've done enough. Finish your book about that stalker guy. Now, by the time I had finished it and started Be Unique, that book had gone through 2 revisions, a dozen beta readers, because I wanted to make sure it was really, really polished. Mm-hmm. And so I took the book down and I started polishing it. And the best way to polish that was with my husband, who doesn't like to actually hold a book and read, just listening. So he would shut his eyes, and I thought he'd go to sleep, but he was watching the movie in his head as I read. And then every now and then he'd say, wait, stop, no. That doesn't make sense. And I'd say, that doesn't make sense to you, or it doesn't make sense physically, logically, what? So we would hash it out. He was the best critique partner.
I miss mine.
I know. So I got it done, and I sent it out to a couple of, I guess I should tell you guys what it's about. It's about sex addiction. And I sent it to a couple of sex therapists and asked them if they would read it and give me a foreword or a review. And one of them did. The other one started to, but she decided she couldn't because she got busy writing her own book or something. So while I'm waiting on them, I wrote my second children's book, which is called Sally's Heart. And it's about kindness and just having a big heart and adventures. Talks about adventure. But the bottom line is it's about organ donation. My cousin had just celebrated her 20th year with someone else's heart. And all of a sudden, the words for Sally's Heart just came. And I asked my cousin, would she mind if I wrote this book? And she said, not at all. So I wrote the book. I had it illustrated by another Be Unique volunteer. And because she wanted the experience and the credibility of working with a published author. So she did it for me for free.
Nice.
And she told me, she said, now, if we do this again, I will have to charge you. I said, okay, that would be fine. How much are you charging? She goes, I start at $3,000. Well, she just started herself out of my budget because I haven't sold that many books yet.
Can't start at the top and work your way down. You have to start at the bottom and work your way up.
But we'll get what we need to get when we get it. It all comes into play. Right now, I'm looking for an agent.
Those are hard to find because agents have manuscripts up to the ceiling.
Yep.
But if you get one, good on you.
Yeah, I have gotten about 50 rejections, but they're not rejection. I don't see them as rejections. I see them as their losses. The age when my manuscript hits the right desk at the right time with the right person, everything's going to fall into place.
And if you change your mind, you can always send it over here. We'll publish it. We'll promote it. You know how I market.
Yes, I do.
From daylight till way past dark.
Pretty much like me.
Yeah. And you know, the thing is, what we circle back around, and ladies and gentlemen, what the masses fail to understand is this. There are 6 publishing houses out there that are called traditional houses. Within those 6 houses, they have people called agents who sell the manuscript. And agents have manuscripts piled up in their inbox from here to hell and back. I can't tell you, I've been at this business almost 20 years. Like Mary, my first book got rejected so many times I could wallpaper my house. So when it got rejected so many times, again, their loss, I said, okay, fine. I'll do it myself. I learned everything. Now, you got to remember, this was 2006. I learned everything I could about internet, how to market on the internet, social media, you name it. I went and got it. Then I had someone tell me, self-published authors can't write. What? Excuse me? And how many books have you written? None that I want to.
There are some self-published books that the authors can write, they just can't self-edit.
There you go. You have to have an editor. You have to have someone else looking at your book. Because Mary can tell you, when we're writing, sometimes our fingers go slower than our brain. And our brain, we have written the correct words. When we go back and look, that word's not there. And we'll swear up and down, I put that word in there. That's because the fingers can't keep up with the brain when the voices in our head are going 90 miles an hour.
And when we have come to rely on spell check,
yes,
back in the days of typewriters and paper, you were a lot more cautious, and because you know, erasing back then was a task.
Oh, it was a pain in the neck.
Yeah.
But what I have found with Amazon is when I go to put that book up, they have advanced so much, Mary. They will say, hey, stupid, can you not spell? Fix this word. Because before that book is allowed to go into the printing side, if the cover's not within the boundaries, if the pages are not formatted right, it will kick it back and say, well, you need to fix this and this and this and this. They have advanced so much, it's not even funny. I love working on the publishing side of Amazon now. The Kindle, it will, when you put it up on the Kindle, it will say, okay, did you mean to spell this word as wanna instead of want to? Well, yeah, I did in this case because it's someone
vernacular.
Right, it's the vernacular. It's not the Queen's English. But when we first started this endeavor, I can tell you right now, and Mary's part of this group of us, that we were maligned, it was like we had the leprosy. Nobody wanted to touch us. But because we stayed the path and we did not allow people to discourage us, there are more indie authors out there, I think, than there are traditionally published authors. And the reason being, we have control. I've been reading books since I was 5 years old. And I'm not talking about See Jane Run. I'm talking about books. And the authors that I loved, other than the classics, after a while, so-and-so to have a new book out. Well, you would read the back of the book. You'd read the back that gave the synopsis. Same plot, different town. The names of the characters were changed to protect the characters before, but it's the same regurgitation of the story.
Because it's a formula is easy.
Exactly. And when those books get to tradition, and they put their authors under so much stress to keep rolling out these regurgitating books, and when they get to their editors are allowed to rewrite the whole damn book.
Yeah. And you know that there are authors, well-known authors, and one comes to mind, James Patterson, because I saw a book recently, because it said James Patterson and David somebody. I think there was a sticker over his name. What they're doing is they're teaching this David somebody how to emulate James Patterson, who is getting up in age, so that his books can continue on after he's gone.
Under this new guy's name. So what the houses, the traditional publishing houses, have gotten lazy because they no longer care about the author. They no longer care about the reader. I quit reading an author because she went so completely off the rails. Her books didn't even make sense anymore. And she was a well-known author, but she went off the rails. Authors lose all control of their books. Now we're talking traditional published. All control of their books, all control of their marketing, all control of their media. They do not have a say in the book cover. And if you've seen some of these book covers, I won't even pick up the book. Because the book covers are so boring, it has nothing to do with the story inside. It's just slapped on there, mass-produced, and out the door it goes.
Yeah, I remember when the title of the book was the biggest thing you needed to see.
Yep.
Now you see author, and then down below, little title.
And you're going,
or New York Times best-selling author. How do they write a book that way? They don't.
And what I found out is that list of best-selling authors, guess how New York Times gets that list?
From the publishers.
No.
No?
No. When books come out, the New York Times sends down a list of all the new listings to all the bookstores. And they have the bookstore managers tick off what they think's a bestseller. Oh, yeah. Y'all didn't know that, did you, ladies and gentlemen? Yes,
I didn't know that.
Yes, they do. So, if you're not shipped out by one of the big sixes to these bookstores, you're never going to get on the best-selling list. It doesn't matter, because we don't write, and we can afford to take our time writing our books. We can afford to take time to tell the story.
Yes.
We can afford to take time to create an eye-popping cover, because we're in control. Our story's not rewritten to suit an editor who is a frustrated writer, and they rewrite our work. It's our story, it's not theirs.
You know, in all the years that I've been editing, I recently edited a fantasy for somebody, and she wrote me the sweetest little review. And it was kind of cute. She goes, I don't know how long you've been doing this, but you should really consider making it a career. You're really good at it.
And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you, I would much rather read Tolstoy, War and Peace, than some of the books that are on the market now from traditional publishers. And I've read War and Peace. Don't get me wrong. That book's, 3,000 pages and very small print, but I read it when I was 12 years old. It told a story. It told the history of Russia and the revolts and how they came to be. It's history wrapped up in a love story. Dr. Zhivago's another one.
Oh, God, yeah. And you remember back in the day, books didn't have a maximum page length.
No, they did not.
They wrote the books until the story was told. And each book, like War and Peace, might have been what today would be series 3 and a sequel,
Right.
So, but
Because
today they want to sell as many different kinds of books as they can. So they make the authors, you can't write more than 100,000 words in a fantasy or sci-fi, but no more than 90 maximum for a thriller or whatever. And they like to say, well, readers' attention spans. No, excuse me. Those are the people who pretend and read stuff on Facebook and TikTok and Instagram. A true reader doesn't care how long the book is.
until the story is told. Gone with the Wind is another one. Gone
Yes.
with the Wind is, what, 900 pages?
Yeah.
You can't put that book down. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say something that's probably going to make a lot of people mad, but I'm of that age. I don't care. The traditional publishing houses today have ruined books because they're in such a big hurry to get the greenbacks and to get the profits for their stockholders. They have ruined the quality of a good read. I've gotten to where I almost don't read anymore because I'm going, what the hell? The plot line is so thin that you could read a newspaper through it. You've got the plot figured out before the first chapter's over with. The characters have no depth. A good book has a beginning, a conflict, a resolution, and an ending. Am I right?
Yeah. And you are reading, sweetheart. You're reading all of the books by the authors that you're publishing.
Well, that's true.
You're just not reading from the big houses.
That is true. Point taken. And I'm going to tell you what, I'll keep reading my author's books because I do not build a cover until I have read that book. Sherry Richardson is Yvonne. What's my cover going to look like? I said, Sherry, honey, I love you. You got to chill. I got a lot of information to get through in this book before the cover even comes to me. So just be patient. It will come.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you don't know. I know with my first book, Go With Angels, I knew exactly what it would be. That was a no-brainer. My son had actually given me a little a pretty big figurine of an angel coming up out of the waves surrounding and standing behind. I might have it. Yeah, right here. Hold on. He's hiding behind a bunch of junk.
Oh, he's beautiful. I remember him, yes.
Yeah. And so that became the cover of my book. Jennifer kind of stylized it, artified it, which was a good idea. And the Steep Steps was another one. I didn't know exactly what I wanted. I had all kinds of ideas. I was playing around with it. And finally I sat down and I just drew or painted the steps. Just steps going up, coming from nowhere, going to nowhere. I think it turned out pretty good. That was let me show you that one too while I'm making weird stuff here.
She's multi-talented. Just another reason. See, she's beautiful. That's why I love her.
And there's the book.
Yeah.
So I used AI for this one.
That is
and this one.
See, Journey with the. Y'all need to get her books. I'm serious.
Yeah.
Because she's not only an amazing author, she's just an amazing person.
Thank you.
And like me, she marches to her own drummer. Well, we march to our own band. We forget the drummer. We just take the band with us. They play
You
our
know,
music.
I actually wanted to and did make my own drum
See? Again, multi.
because I had to have my own drum to bang on when I needed to. And
Instead of somebody's.
sometimes that comes in really handy.
It
Beat
does.
that drum instead of that person's face.
Oh, bless them. Um, you remember my drag queens, right?
Oh, yes.
Well, they're showing up in the new book.
Oh,
I wouldn't get. I just put them in shady rest. They wouldn't shut up till I put them in shady rest. So I thought they'll go away and leave me alone for a minute, right? Now I'm in the shower and I'm trying to decide how Murder in the Village is gonna go, and I'm thinking, okay, it's gonna come to me, and then this voice says, "Hey,
yeah.
what? We're coming." I said, "No, no, no, no. You were just in shady rest. You can't be in this book." Well, guess what? If we don't come play, you don't get to finish the book. Okay.
Oh,
All right then. Come ahead. Make yourself to home. Well, now the book's just flowing. It was
I
supposed to
love it.
be it was supposed to be a dark novel, and it's turned into a comedic murder mystery.
That's awesome. That's as it should be. That makes it even more fun. Remember the Knives Out series?
Yes. 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 I laughed myself silly over that series.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
you know, the thing is, we have to get these out of us, or they won't leave us alone.
no, they don't. They
I
refuse.
I remember the first time I did well, the only time I did NaNoWriMo,
Mm-hmm.
National Novel Writers Month.
Yep.
I got my novel done in the 30 days, and that's the one I want to pull out next and see how bad it is.
You might surprise yourself.
It might surprise me. But once I started, because I had no idea where to go, but once I started, it just went. And the beauty of doing something like that and leaving it alone, that's why they say, write your novel, put it in the drawer, or, leave the file alone and come back to it. They say 6 months. To me,
Yep.
6 years is better because you really are looking at it with brand new eyes.
You are. And things happen. The voices go quiet. I know when Jack died, everything went silent.
It had to.
I mean, everything went silent. The
Only,
radio.
only the silence could soothe your pain.
True. Couldn't concentrate. Couldn't write. Couldn't, because he was like Curtis is with you. He was the one that listened to the chapters.
Yeah.
He gave me the idea for Brilliant Insanity. The man was as twisted as I am. When I was writing Silent Scream, I said, there's a novel dancing around in my head, and it's called Brilliant Insanity, but I don't know how the protagonist is going to do the killing. He said, "Chum." What? He said, "Chum." I went, "Oh, no, you didn't."
Oh,
Yes, he did. And you have to read the book to understand the chum thing.
yeah.
If you don't know what chum is, ladies and gentlemen, it's fish bait used to fish for
Attract
sharks.
sharks.
Yeah, it's chum. Just read the book.
And
But that was
sometimes just a 4-letter word is all you need to make your whole book come together. Yvonne, I
yes,
could
dear.
sit here and talk with you forever.
I know, but we got to go.
Because I'm sitting here not thinking about other things I need to do today. I'm thinking about the people who are going to benefit from watching this.
We have to do it again.
I was thinking we should make this a regular thing.
Good idea. When?
Well, Wednesday mornings at 11 work for me right now.
Okay, Wednesday morning musings. Right here with me and Mary Brotherton. You see how
I
this
think
works?
I think we should talk about these things that are hidden in our books, like Chum,
Yes.
and talk about how, let me ask you a real quick question. Do you believe in writer's block?
Oh, absolutely. I've had
Really?
it. I've had it.
See, I don't believe in writer's block. I believe that when I have the inability to write, that's my brain saying, you've written enough for now. You need a break. You need to go do something else. The toilets could use your attention for a change. Have you swept the floors lately? When's the last time you put clean sheets on your bed? Because I don't do those things when I'm writing.
That's true. That's true.
So
See,
I think it would be fun. Maybe you and I separately can come up with a list of the next 10 shows, and we'll discuss them in email.
good idea.
That way we'll have a topic,
Yeah.
and we can kind of be semi-prepared instead of totally off the cuff, which I love going off the chain with you anyway.
We do it so well. Even if we have a script, we go off the cuff.
Oh, man. But I'm just thinking that the people who watch Facebook Live and listen, now people who listen to podcasts in their car, no problem. An hour, it go get you anywhere. But I'm
Yeah.
thinking if we have a little more structure, we can actually cover more information.
Wait, she's using that dirty word.
I said the S word, I know.
You did. Ooh.
But I'm just trying to think I'm thinking in terms of our viewers.
Well, they're welcome to leave and come back. I mean,
That's true.
and then we can invite folks because this Riverside has the ability to invite people as listeners, and we even have a chat room on here.
I love it.
So we can.
And I know Riverside goes out everywhere.
It does.
And you can always take the link and put it other places.
As I will. Like YouTube and WordPress and Instagram and Twitter and what's the other one? Blue Sky and Mastodon.
Oh, I got to go back to. I haven't updated Blue Sky in a while. I need to. So send me the link, and I will. I'll go find you on Blue Sky because I didn't realize you were on there.
Oh yeah, have you met me? Once or twice.
Well, yeah, but I haven't checked all your links lately. I was looking at those earlier, and I'm like, I know that the Midnight Publishing's in here somewhere, but it's not one of your links on your Yvonne Mason. So update that.
Because those were already up and running, so I just added Midnight Publishing because everybody knows me as Yvonne Mason, and let your friend know that the cost is because I pay it forward.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. It's fun. And
It is fun. And
it helps others.
well, we learn each time we do something like this too.
Oh, absolutely. I have learned so much in the 8-10 months I've been doing this, even more than I already knew. And with the tools that we now have available, it's just, I love it. I could never go back to anything else. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. To satisfy her and our viewing audience,
I can keep talking.
we will close this show and leave you hanging until next Wednesday because I have no idea what we're going to do. We'll figure it out. So,
Yeah, because I know good and well if we come up with a list, we're going to abandon it anyway.
or we may talk about one or two things and it'll just go off on its own topic.
Which is the best. That's the best. I love the tangents.
And I love you, my friend.
I love you, and I'm so glad we found our workaround that we needed.
Absolutely. And so until next Wednesday, right here at 11 o'clock, this is Yvonne Mason and
Mary Brotherton
saying until next Wednesday for Wednesday's Musings, good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.